Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about Pontypool from 2008. Okay, I sound like shit because I'm currently suffering the worst respiratory infection I've had in probably, 10 years easy. I'm really doing poor, so I'm going to be brief on this one. Pontypool, as I found just cruising through the new Xbox Live interface, took me to the new Netflix, and I said, zombie movie, eh? Because I had a tab for zombie movies, and sure enough, Pontypool was popping up. And this movie, which I liked very much, has such an incredible hook, an incredible twist, an incredible spin on the zombie genre that I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm not even going to hint about it, because it would be so much better. I mean, if I'd have known and then watched this, it wouldn't have been nearly as good. But when they revealed the twist, I was like, what the fuck? It was great. Grant Mazzy is a radio DJ, and he's driving in the middle of a snowstorm in Canada to his new job. And he's been there, I'm guessing, for a few weeks. He apparently used to be in the big city, one of the big cities, is kind of like a gruff, don't take any bullshit kind of jock on the radio, and got himself fired. So now he's working for this little nobody's ever heard of it AM radio station that does news and traffic and I guess talk in Canada. Just bear in mind that when I'm talking about this radio stuff, I sadly went to college and goofed off. I was working in communications. I got an FCC license to own and operate a radio station and to broadcast from it. I still have it. I'm fairly sure they don't even issue it anymore. It's kind of, I guess, I'm whatever, but I've got it. It's good for life. It says on it, good for life unless revoked. So I still have it. So I've got lots of being on the air experience between 89.3 KOHL and KZR in San Jose 20 years ago. That was my radio experience, and I've been live on the air many times. Don't sound like it today, but, back then. So whoever wrote this film has good working knowledge of the average radio station and what people do there and how they treat each other. So I'm thinking the writer definitely was in radio. But Grant shows up at his new job, and he walks in, and the phone screener gives him some booze, and his producer comes in, and he jumps in the booth and goes on the air and kind of starts being an asshole. And the producer's in his ear going, shut up. People just want to know about the traffic and are the buses running today. The kids go to school. It's snowing. It's a pretty ho-hum town until reports start coming in about people by the hundreds. And keep in mind, this is in a blizzard. Okay. People by the hundreds trying to crawl into a building. And so many people go into this building that the sides, it's a doctor's office. The sides burst and bodies pour out like water. They're trying to, at the radio station, get confirmation of it, and they can't find anything online. This is just what their traffic reporter guy has been saying, and they're getting a few phone calls, and people are kind of speaking gibberish. Maybe not so much gibberish. I mean, I hear a lot of English, but it's a lot of repetition, It's a lot of repetition of a handful of words and then kind of mispronunciations of those words. But, you get that they're speaking English. The reports are coming in that some people are killing other people. Some people are making weird noises. There's a car that has been crushed by like 100 people because they're laying on it, all making the noise of windshield wipers. So something's up, something really weird, and a bunch of people have been ripped to shreds. The story is kind of, what do you do? You're in the middle of a snowstorm. You're probably the only ears that a lot of these people are getting on this information. And you're going basically just on phone calls and hearsay. And it gets gorier and gorier and gorier as it goes along. Yeah, there is blood in this film, but there's very little. Now these, I'm going to say, aren't your typical zombies. They're not, I died and I've been brought back and I'm walking around and I'm trying to eat brains. That's not what's going on here. These people fall into the, infected. These are more along the lines of 28 Days Later, those kind of zombies. And I'll call them zombies. I wouldn't know quite what else to call them. But these people have not passed away. They are not under their own control. Well, or are they? I don't know. Now, sadly, I can't tell you what happens because it would just fuck this movie up. But this movie has such a great twist. As I said earlier, I was blown away. And it went from being, I was like, okay, this is a cool movie. This is a cool movie. I like the suspense. I like the fact that they're kind of stranded. I like the fact that, I can appreciate the whole radio show thing because I've done it. And I can appreciate how they're all kind of bickering and fighting off the air, and people don't even hear this. They're going at each other's throats with the mics off, in between commercial breaks and shit. That's how it really happens. But so I like that. But then, they brought up a bunch of questions and answered some. Now, if I were to have a gripe with this film, any gripe at all, it would be the fact that a few really big questions were raised that never did get answered in the end. And in the end, if you watch this film, which I really think you should, it's available on Netflix, you should check this out. It's waiting for you. Stay throughout the credits. There is a black and white scene at the end that I thought was very unnecessary. It made no sense. And I guess they were trying to be ironic or, I don't know what they were doing. But I didn't enjoy it. It didn't need to be there. So my one gripe would be that there were big questions raised that, would have brought a better understanding of the film. They simply just let it go and didn't answer. But what they did do was come up with a crazy twist on a zombie film as far as how this virus or whatever it is goes around that we've never even thought of before. And I really liked that. The effects were good. They were very sparse. It's more of a suspenseful kind of film. What do you do when the most basic of things you do spreads this? They say don't have any contact with your close family. Don't spend time with people you care about, and don't use any terms of endearment. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, and preferably say it in French. There's a few parts in this film, like in the beginning, when you're hearing these things and you're hearing descriptions and narration, that you're going to hear things that don't make any sense. But pay attention anyway, because it's all going to come right back around first. Be like, oh, okay. Oh, I get it now. I was tickled. I stayed up well past my bedtime to finish this off because I was like, I'm not going to bed until I know how this ends. I know I've given it such a shit lackluster review. One, because I'm sick, and I think that's pretty clear. It's the sound of my voice. But second, because if I say anything else about it, because this film was very small. It takes place in a couple of rooms at a radio station. They really don't go anywhere else except outside or in the car. Not that it was one-dimensional. There were some faults in this, but you know what? The plot and the twist make up for any of that, absolutely. And all I'm going to say is you need to see this. You need to see this on Netflix. And I want you to come back and say, hey, Mike, that was pretty neat. Or, oh, that was dumb. And I could see being really let down at the end. Maybe not the end, but if you wait for that weird cut scene after the credits, it was stupid. But I think it's the movie itself was rock solid, and the twist was fucking great. All I'm going to say until next week, Sidney Breyer is alive. Sidney Breyer is alive. Sidney Breyer is alive. And Sidney Breyer is alive. See you next week.